All right, welcome, everyone. Oh my goodness, this is National Private Practice Day. Can you imagine? This is so awesome. I know a number of you have asked. I didn't even know there was a National Private Practice Day, but there is, thanks to Dr. Una, who petitioned and got us a National Private Practice Day. Isn't that fantastic? This is going to be every August 13th will be National Private Practice Day, and it's going to be so amazing, so phenomenal. We're here to celebrate you. We're here to celebrate all the hard work you're doing. We're here to celebrate everything that you're doing in the lives of your patients every single day. And I want you to share this video. So if you're watching me live, say hi in the comments. Share the video. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to be looking for all my new and old friends alike. Even if you're not a private practice doctor, if you're watching this video, share it with all of your colleagues, share it with your friends. This is going to be an extremely amazing time today. We are here with the amazing Dr. Una talking all about her new book, The Private Practice Playbook. I I just can't tell you enough about this book. You've got to make sure you get it. It's already out on Amazon. Today is launch day. You want to be one of the first ones to get your hands on it before it sells out. And you want to get multiple copies for all the doctors in your life. So make sure you get it. Make sure you share it. Make sure that you to let us know in the comments how it's helped you. Now, today's going to be a phenomenal day. I'm going to interview Dr. Una, and she's going to give us all of the details about the private practice playbook. But before we do that, I want to hear from you. So let me know where you're from, where you're watching from in the comments. Let me see. Okay, Dr. Rachel Rubin. She did. I just ordered mine. Congratulations. So good to see you, Dr. Rubin. That is fantastic. Now, you may be wondering why I'm wearing my hat. My hat is not hatting. I okay, now it's hatting. Because this is such a big celebration. We've got two major celebrations going on today. We have the private practice playbook launch with what for the phenomenal book that Dr. Una has written to help the physician community, and we have National Private Practice Day. I mean, I had to celebrate. You can't see all my balloons, but I am in full blown celebration over here. So just to let just to let you know. So I want to get into the nitty-gritty of all this, Dr. Ona. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for writing this amazing book. I had the privilege of reading most of it. I'm not finished yet, but I read most of it, and it is fantastic. You know, Dr. Una has this superpower. She has lots of superpowers, right? But she has this particular superpower where she can take complex things and make them so simple. So it is so simple, but so incredibly powerfully impactful, right? So, Dr. Una, tell us first of all, why did you write the book?
Well, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? All right, so say hi in the chat, everyone. I'm super excited that you're here. I'm celebrating, Makita says, is National Private Practice Physician Day. I'm celebrating that as well. So let me go back a little bit and give a little bit of background. So if we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Una. I'm a pediatrician by training, and I have had my private practice for 14 years at this point, so almost a decade and a half. And we started in 2008. So, there was a big recession then. We went through the pandemic, we went through the great resignation, hyperinflation, all of these things happening. And I'm very grateful that we've been able to thrive through it all. And, in 2018, we started EntreMD. In 2020, we started the EntreMD Business School, and I've had the privilege of working with hundreds and hundreds of physicians. And it's beautiful to see them thrive in private practice. Now, Makita asked, why the book? Okay. And the reason for the book is this. There are so many private practices that go out of business. And going out of business in private practice is an expensive thing. It's not like you just close it, you're like, I'm done. No, like you have to pay for charts to be stored. You have contracts that you have to pay through. They won't let you out of, all kinds of things going on. And so I would see that, and every time I would see it, I'm like, oh my goodness, right? In 2021, we had 11,000 private practices go out of business or sell to private equity. That's 11,000 in 1 year. That's 1,011 times in 1 year, right? And think about dreams crushed, think about patients displaced, think about all these things. The ripple effect of it is a lot. And so it kind of made me go like, okay, how do we make this simple? I like that Makita said one of my superpowers is simplifying complex things, because I don't like complex things at all. I'm like, what are the top 7 mistakes that, as private practice owners, what are the top 7 mistakes we make that cause us to lose money and all of that stuff? Because they're not private practices that are closing down because the doctors are not good doctors. They're closing down because of cash flow problems, right? Like these are the things that cause that. And so I looked for those 7 things, looking at my practice, looking at practice of my clients, looking at, like all of those things. And we did a workshop. Makita, you would remember this, right? We did a workshop, like 7 ways private practice owners leave money on the table. And it was so wild because you could measure real dollar. You could see, okay, I'm losing this much here. I'm losing that much here. I'm losing a whole 100,000 there. I'm losing this there. And it became so obvious what you can do to fix it. And when you look at it, you're like, these are hundreds of thousands of dollars left on the table. And I said, what if we could have 10,000 private practices learn these things, install it in their private practices, and thrive financially? The ripple effect of that, I mean, like private practice will change. And people say, oh, but the insurance companies and all of this. But the truth of the matter is, it takes empowered private practice owners to fight the insurance company. Like in this state where the bills are not being paid, or you're working another job to pay the bills, or you have a multi-million-dollar practice, but there's no profit, like all of that, you're not in a position to fight. So this happens before that. Think of it like you have, the oxygen drops in a plane. They tell you, like, the mask is going to fall, but put it on yourself first and take care of whoever, even if it's a child. Like, don't, like, put it on you first, then take care of the child. So we need to take care of ourselves, our practices, and all of that. And then we can go after these bigger systemic issues. So that's kind of what made me write the book, what made me realize that I must get it out there. I must get the word out there. I must help other people see everyone needs to get a copy and give it to the docs in their lives. That happened when Walmart shut down 50 of its clinics in one state. 50, I think it was 51 actually, 51 clinics in Florida. And I sat and I thought, I said, you know what? What if each clinic had 1,000 patients, like you had a panel of 1,000 patients? That's 51,000 people in one state that no longer have access, no longer have their physician, they're displaced. And I'm like, so if we have Walmart running away and we don't have empowered private practices, we have a big problem on our hands. Like, this is a big issue. And I said, one of the best things we can do is figure out how to thrive in private practice, because it's good for the patients we have, it's good for our team because we can, give them meaningful employment, it's good for us, we can create financial freedom, it's good for America, because that's how we have healthcare. So there are bigger things at stake. So it just made me realize we got to have the book out there. We need to put in as many hands of private practice owners as we can. It made me realize we need to honor the private practice docs and support them. That's why we created the National Private. People are telling me, I didn't know there was a National Private Practice Physicians Day. I was like, there wasn't. We made it. Right? But it's because we want to celebrate you. We want you to understand that we understand the pressure that you're under and that we're here to support you. And we're talking a $15 book that can radically change your practice. So yeah, that's probably longer than you wanted, Dr. Makita. But yeah, that's why I wrote it, and that's why I'm so convinced this is some of my most important work.
Yes. When you're talking, Dr. Una, 2 words came to mind. The first word was empowerment. We always say in EntreMD, the EntreMD brand, that we are the cavalry, that we're not waiting for someone to help us and to change healthcare. It'll be nice, but we're not waiting for that. We are the ones that's going to change healthcare. So this book is empowers private practice owners. It empowers them to make the changes that they need to make. It empowers them to do what needs to be done to have their practices thrive. It empowers them to be able to see patients on their own on their own terms, and to be able to build businesses that not just benefit the community and their patients and their employees, but also themselves. Because you could be benefiting everyone else, but still be not profitable and still not benefiting your personal life. So this book really empowers private practice owners and empowers them in the healthcare system. And then the other word that came to mind was solution. I mean, there seems to be so many problems. I talk to doctors all the time. I have the honor of speaking to probably about 10 physicians a week, and a lot of them talk about the problems. There's problems with the insurance companies, there's problems with private equity, there's problems with the healthcare system at large. But this is a solution to so many of these problems, a solution that can have, and like you said, can have affect so many other people. If the problem has, like you mentioned, Walmart, if the problem has affected 50,000, potentially 50,000 people, imagine what the solution can do. So bravo. Thank you, Dr. Una, for writing this book. It's so important. So if you haven't already gotten it, I am imploring with you to make sure you get it. I've already got my copies. I'm actually going to go get more because I actually know, I mean, I know a lot of physicians, and I'm going to be gifting some out. So make sure you get your copy. Now, somebody may be listening to us, Dr. Una, and they're like, okay, well, I mean, but maybe this book is not from a physician. I totally support you, Dr. Una, but I'm not in private practice, or maybe I want to sell my practice. Like, I'm done with those things. Like, kudos to you, Dr. Una, wanting to fight, but I'm done. Who is this book really for?
So that's a great question because I'm the queen of niching down and talking to one person and doing all of these things. But the fascinating thing about this book is that this book is for a lot of people. And I'm going to start from the groups you wouldn't think of to the groups that it matters for. So the first group of people this book is for everyone who is either them or their family are cared for by a private practice physician, right? Because the level of what they have to go through to create that private practice, what they have to go through to keep it running, how they have to innovate, because this is one of the most hostile times ever. I want you to think about it. Insurance companies are paying less. The cost of delivering the service is higher, right? Everything skyrocketed after COVID. The administrative burden is unbelievable, and they're dealing with really sick people, right? And so sometimes it's a very thankless job, and they're working hard. And so if you're cared for private, you have this internal medicine doc, then you have your OBGYN, you have a dermatologist, all of that, get them a copy of the book. Tell them I was at an event and, I heard about the role I could play. I decided I'm going to be a physician ally. And I got you this book, doc. I know you have many patients. Maybe someone else got it, but I got you this book. It would be the best gift you can give them because this book is not fluff. This book tells them this is where the leaks are. This is how you plug them. Okay, so the first group is you may be here, and if you're here right now, you're not a physician or you're not in private practice, and you're gonna get a copy. I want you to type in the comments #physician ally because we need you. We need you. For us to make a dent, there are hundreds of thousands of private practices. We set a goal to help 10,000 practices, and that in itself is a Herculean task. That's not something we can do by ourselves, right? But if we have all hands on deck, we can have so many private practices thriving, and we can bring our country to a healthier state. Otherwise, the direction we're going in is a bad neighborhood, okay? And I'm a very positive person, I promise. I'm just trying to prevent us from getting there, okay? So the first group would be anybody who is cared for any kind of doctor in private practice. Get them a copy of the book, okay? So that's the first group. The second group and now I'm talking to the private practice owners. The second group will be private practice teams. Okay. One thing that I see a lot happen in private practice is the owner bears the weight of everything financial, everything. Nobody else knows how what I do is connected to the bottom line, what my revenue generating activities are. Like, they have no idea. Many of your team members think that their payroll just comes from the bank account. They don't have there's no connection, right? If you have a practice administrator, an office manager, a front desk leader, a back office leader, any of those kind of roles, a biller, giving them this book gives them the opportunity to understand how to carry their own weight, how to be a profit center, how meaningful their work is, how important their role is. So when somebody comes and wastes a vaccine, they don't understand what that means. When they don't collect the right insurance information, they don't know the consequence of that, right? When they're supposed to, do reminder calls so the patients could come in and they don't do it, and there's 7 gaps in your schedule, understand, like, they don't. But giving them this book will fix that. So you can then breathe, because you're no longer the only one responsible for bearing the financial weight of the practice. So you have a team, you get them copies, okay? So that's the second group. The third group will be the obvious group. If you are a private practice owner, when I say you're owner, that means you're thinking of starting, right? Or you have already started and you have an established practice. Or like Makita, you're talking about the person who wants to sell. One of the best things you can do before you sell your practice is fix it up. Okay, this is what in real estate, that's what they do. You rehab and then you sell so you can get a better deal and all of those things. Imagine plugging these holes so your practice is so much more profitable. Then you're talking multiples of that versus you walking away because I can't stand this anymore, so I'm leaving. That is not the way to sell a practice, because it's an asset, right? So for the first time, I have a book that I can almost say is for everybody. You know your assignment. If you're not a physician, you buy it for your physician. If you're on a team, your boss is going to get it for you, and you're going to read it. And I mean, this is going to be amazing. And if you're a private practice owner, understanding these concepts changes everything for you. And I know I say it, but it's not cliche. I mean it. I mean it, because people are doing it and it's changing things for them.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. Thank you, Dr. Una. So, I mean, that means everybody. I mean, I'm already at 10 copies, so I'm thinking about all the people that could use it and just benefit from it. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to see things change for them. And Dr. Una does not do fluff, even in her free stuff. How many of you listen to the EntreMD podcast? My goodness, right? I have had people tell me over and over how many wins they've gotten from the podcast. And this book is just the same. When Dr. Una tells us she definitely gives you the principles. She doesn't tell you, oh, you should do something like this, and she definitely tells you specific things to do. She means it. So you've got to get this book, got to share it. And if you have the book, I want to see you on social media with it. So take a picture, take a selfie of you in the book, do hashtag EntreMD. I want to see it. You know me, spending Dr. Una's money is what I live to do. So it's been a while. It's been about 2 months since I got to spend some money. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on social media with your copy of your book, do a hashtag EntreMD, and I'm going to be looking for you and giving out some money. So I'm looking forward to it. So, Dr. Una, now I've got to get my noisemaker ready for this one, because I got to get my noisemaker ready, because I know I'm going to scream when you talk about this. I want you to give us specific things that someone's going to gain from reading this book.
Yeah, I mean, like, specifically, it will be hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially for most people, right? For most people. So this is the deal, right? The way the book is broken down, I talked to you about these specific areas, right? So people start losing money from the front desk, right? Like from the front desk. And so your people are not collecting copays, they're not collecting old balances. Maybe your DPC, people are not checking to see are their memberships actually current? Like, did the credit card actually work the last time it was swiped, and all of those things. And so that's where the loss starts. all the way, that, and then, the rest of the team and all of that stuff, all the way to the owner. Because, I mean, you can let me know in the chat if there are times you're like, I don't want to meet with my team. I don't want to hold them accountable. I don't even know how this role makes money. I don't like, you don't, but all those things, imagine that in 124 pages, you can figure it out. Because that's the idea. The idea is you walk away as a business owner who is confident. You know how to lead your team. You understand that these are the reports I have to look at, and this is good. You get rid of all that money drama, right? There are people who will not collect co-pays and all this because they're like, oh, but I just want to help the patient. You're not the federal government. Business is an economic sport. Like, in order to stay in business, there are transactions that need to happen, right? All these things, you can get confident, you can get over the mind drama, you understand how to lead your team, you understand how to create revenue generating activities for your team, you understand how to serve and earn. You stop apologizing for the money parts, because business is an economic sport. Your private practice, it is an economic sport. One of the, when I started my practice, one of the things I used to tell my team is, one of my jobs, one of the ways I serve my patients is by keeping this practice profitable. Because once it's no longer profitable, I have to shut my doors. And that's the end. I'm not able to care for them. I'm not able to be there for them, right? And so you're going to walk away a different person. You're going to walk away a different kind of leader for your team. And you're going to have eyes that can see losses everywhere. You're like, that's a loss. Yeah, plug that, plug that, plug that. You'll see it everywhere. So imagine yourself in a position where there's not, I don't think there's going to be another pandemic, but, who knows, right? Who knows? But even if you're in a time where it's troubling times, you know what to do. You know what to do to keep your practice. Because what we talk about here is the same thing we used during the pandemic. We did better in 2020 than we did in 2019. We did better in 2021 than we did in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. Why? Because of these principles, right? We went through the great resignation everybody went through without figuring out how to work out staff and all of these things and needing to pay more and all of that, but we are still thriving. Why? Because of these principles. I have clients who are doing like the mostest, for want of a better word. And why is that? Because of some of these principles. So when I say everything can change, I'm not using that phrase casually. I'm saying everything can change. I only say it can because we put the instructions here, we put the ideas here, we put the stories here, we put all of this. And so you have that and you do it, it changes. It does. And we've seen it with so many people.
I gotta put my noise maker. Oh, it didn't make too much noise. Okay. Anyway, you guys get the idea. That was so phenomenal, Dr. Una. Oh my goodness, everything can change. Imagine you have this. I mean, and I love just it's so the title is so perfect because it's called the playbook. I mean, in sports, it's like, do this, and we're gonna get the desired win. And that's what it's all about. Like, what are you struggling with? Okay, how to lead your team is in there. How to do revenue generating activities is in there. How to read your numbers and stay on top of them and make the most of them. It's in there. How to market like you should. How to get referrals. It's in there. It's all in there. So both the things that you know you need to do and the things that you don't know you need to do, it's all in there. And what I love the most about the book, and I have to tell you guys, what I love the most about the book is that the principles work. When people want to join the EntreMD Business School, what I tell them is like, what sets us apart is that we have principles that actually work. There's business principles, right? But we have timeless principles that have been put into practice, different types of businesses, different types of scenarios, and they work. And Dr. Una, you can testify that they work. I mean, you've got so many private practice physicians that are clients, that are students of the business school, that were private coaching clients that you've worked with, period. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of clients at this point. And you can attest that everything in the book is what you've taught them, and they've been able to use it and it's worked for them. So can you tell me any success stories?
Oh man, that would be a lot of stories.
It's a few.
Well, I mean, first of all, we had lot of people who, when they came into the EntreMD business school, for instance, they came in as employees with the dream of starting a practice, right? And there are actually a number of them who, when they started, they learned some of these principles. For instance, there is this thing of we hang the shingle and they will come. I did that. I tell people I took one for the team, don't do that. That doesn't work. Okay. I hung the shingle and they did not come. Because we talk about the unfilled schedule. The unfilled schedule is a big, it's not a money maker. So what do you call a money loser? it's a place where money goes to die, right? And just learning how to do that, we have had people, we actually had two with the same number. The day they opened their practice with 350 doctors on patients on a wait list. I want you to think about that. Like, think about your established patient. If you got 350 new patients, like 350 on a wait list, which means this works. And these are not seasoned entrepreneurs. These are people who started off as employees, are like, okay, let me open my practice, right? So Dr. Karen Kaufman, she shared her story many times. She's one of them. Dr. Rachel Rubin, I think I saw her earlier on. And because those things work, they work, right? We have had people who it never occurred to them, like copays and all of these things. They just created raises for themselves just by following these principles. Okay, so we have had we've had clients who we've had 12 months, 15 months, and 18 months. First 12, 15, and 18 months in practice, cross the 7-figure mark. I want you to think about that. Why? Because they learn to fill their schedule, they learn to plug the leaks, they learn to lead their team, they learn to have their team do revenue generating activities. So their team members were no longer, like, their payroll was no longer an expense, it became an investment. When you can unleash your team, what you do becomes, it's not unlimited, but you become more limitless, right? Because you're not the rate limiting step anymore. You can have your team. So I want you to imagine that 12, 15, 18 months, first 12, 15, and 18 months in practice. So this is 3 different doctors hit 7 figures in revenue. And 2 of them were primary care. So I would hear people say, I'm a lowly pediatrician. You will never hear that phrase from my mouth except to say someone said. Like, that is not a phrase. You're an entrepreneur. This is the great leveler, right? Like, I'm not lowly. Okay. We even had a doc. She came into the business school. She had been in private practice, I want to say, for 8 years at the time. And she started applying these principles. And she went through the year as usual, got to January, had her meeting with her accountant. So her accountant was like, so did you know you crossed the 7-figure mark? She was like, I did? Yeah, you did $1 million last year. She's like, wow. But she didn't even have, maybe she had the goal, but it wasn't a goal she was chasing down in that way. But because she was doing the work, here she is after years and years in private practice. She's like, I hit the 7-figure mark. I didn't even know, right? And I could go on and on and on, but I am telling you, these principles, they work. We had a doc in this school who came in. She's a surgeon, Dr. Rita. Big shout out to her. Rita. I've been saying her name wrong all this time. I apologize. Right? I was like, oh my goodness, you let me say it wrong all this time. Dr. Rita. Okay. And she's a colorectal surgeon. And when she came in, she was like, I was told for, private practice for a colorectal surgeon that it takes 3 years to break even. I was like, oh, no, it doesn't. You're an EBS. We don't do that here. Right? But she's learning the same principles, right? And so she's having this thing where, oh my goodness, from this quarter to this quarter, I doubled my revenue. Oh my goodness. Like, this is what has been happening quarter after quarter for her. Like, growth and growth and growth, right? And so she just hit her first year in private practice. And she's had all these things happen. So these principles are principles that work. I've used them over the last 14 years. I've had many, many people, like, I could go on and on and on. I mean, some of the EBS students are on the YouTube channel. They can probably post their own stuff there too. But it's so much because these things work. So this book right here is very unassuming because it's a little book. It's 124 pages. It's very simple. Now, people are like, is it that? It's like so simple. The reason why it's simple is because I spend hours and days and weeks and months looking for how to take something that is complex and make it so simple, like so simple that there's no excuse. So don't be fooled by the simplicity. The simplicity is only a representation of my hard work. That's all that it is. But it's simple on purpose. So you can take it, you can have your practice administrator or your office manager take it, and you guys can literally workshop this and radically change your practice starting today. Okay. So yeah.
So many amazing success stories. My goodness, I love them. And you spoke about different physicians starting at different stages and still having tremendous success. So just to let you know, this book is really for everyone. It is really for everyone. So please go ahead and share it on Amazon. And then one thing that really resonated with me, Dr. Una, is that you are so generous with your knowledge and generous with your information, because to be honest, that is what the EntreMD brand is all about. I mean, all across the board, from the podcast to the newsletter to everything that we do, to the live, the YouTube channel, everything. It's all about giving physicians that help that they need to live life and practice medicine on their own terms. So we're looking for every opportunity we can. I mean, uh, we created a whole national private practice day just to recognize private practices. I mean, this is what we do. And Dr. Una has done something else. So August 29th, mark your calendars. August 29th, there's a live workshop.
August 20th.
Um, oh, 24th. Did I say, what did I say? 29th. Okay, August 24th, there's a live workshop. And it's all about so I want you to register for it. So entremd.com/private practice book, and you're going to get the link to register for that live workshop. You're going to learn all the concepts that you get from the book. You're going to learn how to actually put them into practice, right? So make sure you register for that live workshop. Make sure you share it with your physician colleagues. It's going to be phenomenal. So if you have questions, I'm going to get to your questions too. I know I've been hogging all of Dr. Una's time, and I'm the only one that's been asking questions, but don't worry, I'm going to get to your questions first. So please post your questions in the comments. I'm going to get to them first. I'm going to get to them soon. I see a lot of congratulations, Dr. Una, in the chat. We're so excited. This is such a great day. Dr. Una, can you read a passage of the book for us? I would love to. I would love to have that. We were giving out a chapter, and people were getting that first chapter like hotcakes. So now, now they've got it in their hands. Most people have not received it yet. I mean, I don't know if Amazon does same day for books, but most people have not received it yet. So could you read a chapter for us, or a passage, not a chapter, maybe just a passage?
Maybe a passage. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to read the part on staff as an expense versus staff as an investment. And the reason for that is one of the things that we do. Okay, so in corporate America, for instance, when they bring on a team member, they have this concept of 4x profitability, meaning that when this person comes in, they're going to generate 4 times their salary. So it covers their salary, it covers overhead, taxes, and all of that stuff, and it creates a profit for the company, right? I don't quite use 4x like completely in that way, but like every staff member, relationship you have with staff member should be a win-win-win, right? It should be a win for the employee. It should be a win for the employer. It should be a win for the company, right? Like you see what I mean? Like you want to create that kind of win-win. So when you manage your staff properly, what happens is not only do you go from it not being an expense to neutral, you go from it being an expense to it being a huge investment. Like your company cannot produce at the level it produces without that person, without that role, because of the way you use the role. Okay, so this right here is so powerful. It creates exponential growth, and that's the truth. Okay, all right, so let me read that here. This is page 57. I know some of you got the ebook, so but here you go. So staff as an expense versus staff as an investment. Whenever someone tells me I can't afford to hire staff, I know they're looking at their staff as an expense instead of an investment. Staff as an expense means they cost you money. Staff as an investment means they make you money. This is a huge difference, and your mindset around this can make or break your business. It's actually that serious. Okay. In this section, we're going to talk a lot about revenue generating activities. I want you to ask yourself, in my private practice, what are the activities that generate revenue? Okay. And I want you to get very clear on this. Let me back up a minute and explain this. Some of you might be thinking, Dr. Una, you don't understand. I don't care about all this. I just care about taking care of my patients. And all you're talking about is money. Money is what destroyed healthcare. Money did not destroy healthcare. What destroyed healthcare is people putting profits before people. But for healthcare to work, you need the people and the profits. For your practice to work, you need to serve and earn. And I probably want to stop here and say, please type that in the chat. I am committed to serving and earning. Okay. What killed a lot of businesses is they were committed to serving. They were not committed to earning. Serving alone is not enough. It isn't. It has never been. Okay. Now, if this was a clinical book, we'd be talking all about serving. But here we're talking about how to work the earning so we can continue serving. When we talk about building your practice so it's profitable, we're talking about keeping the earning going so you can keep the serving going. Once the earning stops, the serving stops. I want you to take a deep breath before you keep breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, lean into this. There's nothing bad happening here. You haven't sold out because we're talking about money. You're doing what you do as the boss of your practice to continue to earn so you can continue to serve. You're a physician. I don't need to ask you if you put people before profits because that's how we're built. I know that's who you are to your core. So with that in mind, let's get back to revenue generating activities. What are revenue generating activities? Once upon a time back in the day, I'd say, oh, we have a slower day. Great. What do you guys want to do with the day? I'm asking my staff. And my staff would say things like, oh, we have all these faxes to catch up on. We want to do some spring cleaning. We want to take care of some paperwork. There's some things we need to shred. And I'm like, what are you talking about? None of those things I mentioned just now create any revenue. If my staff spent a day doing all those activities, I would still have to pay them for the day. I'd have to pay them with revenue that was not generated. In other words, I'd be paying them out of my own pocket. So I started training them on what revenue generating activities are and how it relates to their paycheck. Now, I'm not saying your staff can never do a single thing that doesn't generate revenue. It's just not the number one priority. I asked them, what's a revenue generating thing you can do today and also do these other things so we can get what we want? Maybe one person says they have a whole list of people with outstanding balances. They can call and collect those. That's a revenue generating activity. Someone else says they can pull this recaller and call everyone who's a year and under and due for an appointment. That's a revenue generating activity. Someone can do this, someone can do that. Even if it's a slower day with less patients, this is important, you understand this. Even if it's a slower day with less patients, your staff can still create revenue. So your equation, which is revenue equal to paycheck, still works. You want to start thinking about which tasks out of the hundreds they could do will actually move the needle financially. Which ones directly generate revenue? Once you're clear on that, you can empower your team to join you in this mission to build a practice that serves and earns. When you have a team and there's no thought of revenue generating activities, it just puts them in a position where they don't know why they're there or what they're doing. So let me give one example. And I think, so for a medical assistant, one of the metrics could be you're already working the patient up. Before they leave, make sure you schedule their next appointment so no one leaves without a next appointment. What that means is if you see 20 patients a day, they might have 15 to 20 future appointments scheduled that day. That could be 100 appointments a week. So that's the thing about this book, the math, right? So if they're scheduling 15 to 20 a day, that could easily be 100 appointments a week. They are revenue generators. This is something they do that affects the bottom line, okay? And then I go on to give examples with schedulers and front desk people, office managers, and all of that. But this is the thing. when you can incorporate revenue generating activities and think strategically about what you have your team do, you unleash everyone's earning power. And the burden of carrying the whole weight of the practice, it goes away. Yeah.
That is so amazing. And I can speak from a team member perspective. I can speak for to that because when you understand the vision better, it just helps you be able to just rally around it and you feel you the power of contribution. And and then the whole thing just kind of sinks together, makes sense a lot better. So that is so good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Una, all about team. Who can relate? I mean, staffing and teams are most people's Achilles heel. But you just made it so simple. And then you made those are things that you could start right away. You could start implementing right away. And like you said, those are things that helped your own practice and those of your clients thrive. I mean, I was there in 2020 in your practice. So I saw that it's like we're in a different world here. Like we're okay. I saw them hitting the recallers and making phone calls and getting balances paid and everything else that helped 2020 actually be better than 2019. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Una. Now I want to get to some guest questions, but I want to remind you about the workshop coming up. Make sure you've registered entremd.com/private practice book to register for Dr. Una's live workshop. Those live workshops are nothing. There's nothing like it. If you think you're getting a lot of value out of just this launch, imagine having Dr. Una for a whole live workshop where she's just teaching you principles and showing you how to apply them. Unbelievable. So I want to look at some questions in the chat. If you have questions for Dr. Una, go ahead and post them in the chat. Now, I saw earlier that someone posted a question, Dr. Una. They asked if the book can help with if you are a course creator or if you are a coach or consultant.
So this book is written specifically for doctors in private practice. So we go into a lot of very specific details. However, if I could recommend a book for a coach or a consultant, like you're looking for what to do, because we have a lot of coaches and consultants in our world as well, I would recommend the visibility formula. In the visibility formula, we talk, and this is not specifically for coaches. So your private practice and the thought of putting yourself out there terrifies you. You're like, I don't know what to say when I go out there. I don't know how to build a referral base, all of those things. The visibility formula book is the book you want to get. Okay. So in our store, it's what is that? It's the third book in the series, I think. Yes. It's the third book in the series. And it will help you build a brand. Really it's about taking your brand from best kept secret to household name. So the private practice one is pretty specific. Like I lean all in, I use all their examples and stuff. So the visibility formula is the one I would get, and that will rock your world. We had coaches buy it for their team members, buy it for the people who sell on their teams, the executive assistants, because this is how we function, right? So it's a really good book.
Thank you so much. And I love that you mentioned that, Dr. Una, because there may be somebody listening that may not even be aware that you have so many other books. So they just need to go on Amazon and search, get into I think Jessica posted the link to your Amazon page, which is awesome. So that then they'll see all the other books that you have out. And they are so great. They just add them to your library, gift them out. And when you do, remember I'm going to be looking out in social media for the rest of today, looking to see people posting their copy of themselves with their book, or, if you've got the ebook, I will take that too. I'll take a digital photo as well. And let me know how many copies you got. Also, I mean, this is just such an important celebration, and what doctors bring to the table, what doctors bring to healthcare, and that we are the leaders in the healthcare space, and we are going to be the ones that make the changes. So this is just a tip of the iceberg. I do have another question, and from Miss Macklin, she is asking about booking a consultation with you, Dr. Una. Dr. Una, how can somebody book a consultation with you? All this knowledge you're spitting, I want you for myself. So how can someone get to talk with you one-on-one?
Yeah, so the truth of the matter is that you're listening to my boss. Makita is my boss, and so
I was just pretending. You're just pretending.
she's the boss. So Makita is the person you want to talk to. She'll probably give the link to her calendar and stuff like that. You know, that's where all of that will start from. I just do what she tells me to do. Listen, fun fact, okay? I was gonna wear my black t-shirt. You guys, you follow me live, you know, I'm always wearing my black t-shirt, my black jacket, whatever. I was going to wear a black t-shirt. And I'm like, the only problem with this arrangement is Makita is the host of this thing. Like, she's gonna come see me on Zoom and go like, ma'am, we're not going live with you like that. Like, that is not happening.
Turn her camera off.
Yeah,
That would
see?
have been hives. Hives started breaking out of my body when I
Yeah,
thought
so as
about
you
the
can
t-shirt.
see, she's the boss of me. But on a serious note, you know, Makita will be the one to talk to. She would, you know, I think Jessica may have it already. Post the link to her calendar. We are 1,000% connect. You know, like committed to helping physicians. So they will get you situated and all of that stuff, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, and you know, to book a call to talk about the EntreMD brand and how we can help you reach your goals and different ways of working with Dr. Unis, you know, entremd.com/call. And it would be my pleasure, Ms. Macklin, to talk with you about that and see how the brand can help you and you know and set you with Dr. Una. That would be amazing. Dr. Una, what's next? I mean, a whole private practice day? OMG. Like of the whole day, 24 hours, you know, dedicated to private practice owners, celebrating private practice. And I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to celebrate in your offices. Like, you know, you should be telling your staff, did you know that today's private practice day? You know how if you're a secretary and they have, I think there's a national secretary day, or I think they've called it administrative assistant day. I think that's what they've changed it to. Or, you know, whatever, it's, you need to tell everybody it's private practice day. This is an opportunity to celebrate because what you bring to the table, what you bring to the world, what you bring to the United States is so vital. We could not, I mean, what would it be like, you know, for 11,000 to close in 1 year? It's heartbreaking. But imagine if we gather together. I mean, we can make that. We can get 10,000 get this book out into the hands of 10,000 practice owners. We can. We have the networks. We have the connections. You and I can do this. I mean, all it takes is all of us, you know, reaching out to our people. But imagine if we can get this into the hands of 10,000 private practice owners, the ripple effect it will have is mind-boggling. And not just for them. Think about all the employees that they have and their families. Think about the patients that they have and their families. And think about the legacy that it creates in the communities. Unbelievable. You want to be a part of something big like this. This is how you start. Dr. Un always says, start where you are, right? This is how we start. We can, doing these little steps, make huge differences in the world and in healthcare in general. Dr. Un, any last words you want to share?
Well, I think the last word for me would be really, if you haven't gotten your copy of the book, go get the book, right? Like we don't do fluff. We put our best work in this, right? Like, so go get the book. If you didn't realize what it was about and you got a copy, go get multiple copies, right? Get copies for the private practice owners, you know, get copies for the private practices that, you know, serve you and your family and your friends. And, you know, spread the word, because this is not just a book. This marks the beginning of a revolution in private practice, right? But it needs to get in the hands of the people who need it, right? So I need you to imagine that there's this thing that is $15 that can change a private practice, something that's $15 that can change a multi-million-dollar operation, something that's $15. It's so wild when I think about it, right? So get a copy. And when you get the copy, for you, if you're a private practice owner, read it, okay? And then register for the workbook, because we have all read books we didn't do anything with. We're like, this was inspiring, this was amazing. I plan to. But in that workshop, we're gonna sit down together and we're gonna do the work and we're gonna get stuff done and make tangible, you know, like we're gonna do tangible work that will lead to tangible dollars in our private practices, okay? So that's on Saturday, August the 24th. It's 10 to 2. So we'll sit down for 4 hours and do some work that will make you go like, my goodness, that's the best 4 hours I've spent in a really long time. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what I got for you. But reach out to all the private practice owners you know. This is not just a book. This is a revolution.
a revolution, and you get to be a part of it from the very beginning. There's nothing like that. EntreMD.com/ private practice book is where you want to go and register for the event on August 24th. That workshop is going to be a game changer. Imagine if you've already read the book by then you've got your workbook, then you get to go live with Dr. Una and see how you can actually implement. And then you can ask her questions. Oh my goodness, you can't miss it. So make sure you register. Make sure you share the link with others to register. EntreMD.com/ private practice book is going to be fantastic. And don't forget, I'm going to be looking for you on social media. I'm going to be looking for you on Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to be looking for your photos with your book, with your copy of your book. Let me know how many copies. Hashtag EntreMD so I can find you. Hashtag EntreMD, and we are going to be rooting for you. Enjoy the rest of your National Private Practice Day. Make sure people are recognizing you, and make sure you recognize yourself, because you are the real MVP. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day.